Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are going to start a new series of first time 4K reviews. These are going to be reviews of movies that I am seeing for the first time and watching them on 4K. And today I just have one question to ask you. Would thou like some exotic butters? We are starting with The Witch. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so we are starting, like I said, today with The Witch. And before I even get started, I want to thank a great channel member who has a channel of his own. This was sent to me, the Awesome Second Sight 4K by Jordan over at the Movie Den. So I really appreciate it. I didn't have this movie in my collection. I have never seen it, which is going to be the theme of this series. These are all going to be movies that I've never seen before, and my first time watch is going to be on 4K. And the first one up is one that's been popular in the horror community for years now. It's Robert Eggers' The Witch, and I definitely have some thoughts on this movie as both a horror filmmaker myself and as a huge horror movie fan. There is definitely some things to talk over with this one. And I've got some notes. I've got some things. Right, I pulled up my notes. I've got some notes and got things I want to make sure I talk about. But I really just want to kind of do these reviews from my heart and just, fly. I don't script anything. So if I misspeak on something, I've watched this movie twice now. So, that is why. So just kind of going ahead and putting that out there. But I'm sure a lot of you already know the basic premise is you have a 1600s family that moves away from their main colony in early colonial America. They move to, it's kind of not clear. They move to the middle of the woods, but then like very quickly with just the guy and his family, they have a house, they have a big crop, they have farm animals, they have barns. Like, he built that up fast by himself, especially considering how it looks like later he doesn't even have a hammer because he's using the butt end of a hatchet. But that's, whatever. This is a movie that I've heard a lot of people say is like one of the scariest movies ever. And while I realize that what scares me and scares other people oftentimes is very different because just the how I think and being a horror filmmaker and horror writer that comes up with shit like this, I'm going to go ahead and say right away, I don't find it scary. I don't find it very scary at all. That doesn't mean that I don't like it. This movie is very odd to me in that it's a movie that I simultaneously like and want to like more and don't like so much. Like it's like both, and it changes in any given moment, and I'll be like, and then other times, hey, it was pretty, and it's just like back and forth. So I've kind of had a hard time getting my mind around doing the review because as a filmmaker, there are things that I really like in it. Like, I mean, the atmosphere, for sure. The atmosphere is amazing. So I love atmospheric horror movies. And it has that in spades. I mean, it just has some atmosphere to it. So I really like that. And some of the shots and stuff like that are creepy and they build tension, but also as a filmmaker and a fan at the same time, just staying on a shot for super long periods of time is neither scary to me nor does a good film make. Like that's when it borders into like artsy and pretentious to me a little bit. But then I go back and I'm like, man, if he'd have just cut it a few seconds shorter, that would have been awesome and it would have moved on. Because the shot is super cool. So that's one of those things where I keep saying I'm going back and forth. And there's other things too, because this is a religious horror film. for sure. And you have witches, and you have the devil, and you have the family tearing themselves apart. Here's where I'm going to start. Okay, the movie is called. It's actually got the witch, the witch. Honestly, it like at this point in time in colonial America, the double V for the witch would have been replaced with the standard W by this time. But I mean, that's nitpicking, but that's like going artsy for the sake of artsy. It wouldn't have been that way at that time. Come at me. You can look it up. I was a history teacher. But like, that's irrelevant. Like, it looks cool as hell. All right. So, it's not clear who the witch is. The way it points to it, and the way you would look at this is like Anna Taylor-Joy's Thomason should be the witch, but like, and her family accuses her of being a witch, and they really make the family look bad in the movie. And that's sort of a problem I have with the movie. Is I feel like Robert Eggers hates Christianity. I feel like the way, and this has spoilers, so if you hadn't seen the movie, it's like you're like me, you're just stop it now if you haven't seen it. But the movie is just over 90 minutes long, and it feels a lot longer because of the way it's shot. So it feels like it drags, and sometimes it's hard to understand them, not because of the dialect, although that's part of it. The dialogue is just low. And I mean, I have a full like Klipsch surround system and all that stuff. Like it's just low. It's really low. And then other times things will get real loud, but kind of getting off track. It feels like he has a very poor outlook on Christianity, and he portrays this very Christian, like overly pious family. They basically get kicked out or leave their community because they're like, the dad is complaining about how the community is worshiping God. So he goes and picks this area that's like cursed because I guess it's home to a coven of witches, which is not introduced anywhere in the movie until the very end, that there is a bunch of witches. It's not clear if Thomason is a witch. Like, there's almost like this self-fulfilling prophecy. He kind of sets it up as the Christians are the bad guys. The family, there's like a representation. I mean, one interpretation of this is each member of the family embodies one of the 7 deadly sins. The father, who's sinful pride, the mother with her envy over the daughter being young, and then of course the brother Caleb with his lust because he's looking at his sister. I mean, he's like, you kind of feel bad for him because he's a boy about to hit puberty, and he's out in the middle of the woods, and there are no other women. So like, occasionally like he looks at his sister's cleavage or whatever, and he's confused, which is understandable because there is no other woman in his age range for who knows where, and he's going through this time, and it's kind of like thrown back on him. It's like, oh, well, you're a Christian. If you were a real Christian, you wouldn't be doing that. So you're going to be punished. And it's like, bro, is a kid going through puberty, and there is no other woman within miles upon miles upon miles, none in his world. So like the fact that he glances at his sister whose cleavage pops out every now and then, somehow that makes him a bad Christian and he should be killed for it. Yeah, that's weird. And then you have the brother and the sister, who you could say maybe they represent sloth because they don't do anything. They never do anything to help. So like there's one way to read that portrayal there of the family as all representing like a one of the seven deadly sins. And it's almost like, I'm trying to think of how to say this. Me and my buddy Chance, who's made movies with me, he has a channel over at Video Goulash. We've talked about this a lot. The film, it's like, I like it and I want to like it more, but I don't like, and I like the atmosphere and a lot of the things, but I don't like some of the subtext that seems like it's come through that nobody talks about. Like, so they portray this family as the bad guys because they're Christian, but they're also sinners, which, hello, that's the point of Christianity. Is that everyone is a sinner who needs, saving. It's not, you don't become perfect because you're a Christian. So that's kind of already thrown out as a concept to me. It's like that, that's off. But it's like, they're the bad guys and they start accusing her, and it's not fair. Like they're accusing her of something that she's not guilty of, really, but it is something that is totally within her to do, because at the end of the movie, the goat is the devil, which that was pretty obvious to start with. The goat is the devil, and she makes a deal with the devil. And the way this is portrayed is that the Christian family gets what they deserve for not being perfect, and they're all dead, and she is liberated. And once she gets rid of the Christian family and has this great life now that she's embraced the devil. So, at the end, she's like happy. She signs over her soul for some exotic butters and traveling the world. So once she's got rid of those pesky Christians who are her family and she's killed them, she is signing on with the devil and heads off to Hogwarts out in the middle of the woods with all this coven of witches that we never are really introduced to in the movie. That's the other thing, and we'll get to that in a minute. But it almost portrays Christianity, Christian family bad, gets what they deserve, signing over to the devil and becoming, a witch who has sold over your soul is great because you've gotten rid of that family and now you're going to have this great life because you have joined the devil and you're a witch and you're joining this coven, and the Christian people bad, devil good. That's how it comes out in the end. And, I'm not really like that. I don't particularly care for that aspect of it, but she's totally happy. She's just killed her mother. Her whole family dies. And, she's like happy and liberated and exciting and smiling as she joins this coven. And I'm like, nobody thought that was like a bad message there. There's a reason like the Satanic Church and the Satanic Temple like thoroughly endorse this movie. Like they readily endorse this movie. And I'm like, well, yeah, it makes sense because it's like Christianity bad and signing over to the devil good at the end. And that part I don't like at all. I think that's a bad message. But that's just me. But like the getting there, I definitely like there. You think about things like Jaws, where they didn't show the shark a lot, but it works. This movie is like 2/3 when it gets 2/3 of the way through the movie, and you've only seen like a glimpse of the naked witch rubbing stuff on herself, and you can't really tell what's going on. And that's the old crone version of the witch. And then later in the movie, again, that bad boy who's going through puberty, he, shame on him. He deserves to die because he gets suckered into the only other woman he's seen forever besides his mom. and his sister, who he's already like feeling bad that he's like caught to look at her cleavage, you know. The only other woman he's seen is this beautiful woman in the woods, and we know she's a witch because the hand, as she goes to kiss him and lures him in, is suddenly turns to a witch hand for some reason. I guess that's to let the audience know, hey, this is a witch. It's like one of the few jump scares. But I just don't. Again, like that part also ends up not making sense to me, because if the idea of the witch, or the witch is, which it's not clear till the end. It's like, oh shit, there was a bunch of witches around here. It doesn't really ever convey that at all. But if the idea is the witches want them to all die or kill them, why do they let the brother go back to the house? Why is he naked? Like, why does he cough up an apple? Is that symbolic of sin, the Adam and Eve and the apple? Or is it because he told his mother earlier that they were looking for apples when that wasn't true? Why do they let him go back? Like, I'm not really sure why they would let him go back. I mean, it makes for a cool scene in the movie. Did the witches know that? Like, this will make a good scene. And I mean, it's like, I don't want people think that I'm just hating on the movie, because I think the movie has a lot of good qualities, and it looks awesome in this 4K for sure. And it's one that I'll watch again and study again and all that kind of stuff. But I don't really know, like, it feel like, so just so you know, this script was rejected a bunch of times by a bunch of different studios, big and small, because they said the script was too weird, it was too slow, and people wouldn't be accepting of the message. So he had to change the script a lot in order to get it made. And then it still took, everybody's like, oh, it's A24. It actually took 6 production companies to come together to scrape together $4 million, because there was no faith in the movie. Now, it made like $40 million over time, but they weren't sure because of that. And then, it comes out, it does do pretty well, but to me, it is slow. Like, I mean, I enjoy a slow burn horror. Like, one of my knocks on The Fog, which is one of my favorite movies all time, is it's too fast. Like, I like atmospheric movies to build over time. But getting back to Jaws, even though you hardly see Jaws, stuff happens. You see what Jaws causes. You see people getting killed. You see action where they're getting killed. You see people looking for dead people. Like, all kinds of stuff happens. There's a shit ton of this movie where just nothing happens. Like, absolutely nothing happens. And to me, that's when it can move from slow burn to and building an atmosphere to artsy and almost pretentious, because it's just so slow. But it's like, if we just had a little bit more payoffs where we could see what was happening, but he doesn't do that, because again, I feel like he's going back to focus that Christianity is bad and this family is bad, and it's Christianity that has made them bad. And I think that's a horrible message. I don't think you can do that with any other religion other than Christianity, to be like, oh, this religion made these people bad. And it sets Thomason up as a sympathetic figure. And yeah, they're too hard on her and everything else, but obviously the person inside her that would kill her mother, and sign a deal with the devil and become a witch was always there. That person was always there. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. Like, that person was always inside her. So they weren't wrong that she was capable of that. She wasn't doing it at the time. So it's like one of those things you want to say, oh, well, if you're going to blame me for it, I'll do it. Like, still in the moment, y'all, I'm not signing over my soul to the devil for traveling the world in exotic butters and killing my family and leaving them behind and being happy about it to do it. You have to have that in you already. So, you know, maybe their projections saw that in her. And, you know, there's definitely like they're overzealous, and they let trying to live too much a certain way corrupt, but that's part of being a human and not being perfect. And too many times I think people equate being a Christian with the need to be perfect, and that's the exact opposite of what's true. And it's like, oh, well, they deserve it because they say they're Christians, but they sinned. Well, so does everybody. So like that train of logic in the script and in the movie is lost on me, because it's not, it's like nobody is perfect. Doesn't matter what religion they follow. Nobody's perfect. That doesn't mean that they deserve to die. And it doesn't mean that like, it almost sets it up. Like I said, we're in the end, Christianity is conquered and destroyed, and signing over and being a devil, like in the coven and signing your soul over to the devil, is praised, and it's the big victory for her at the end. And that's just an odd take to me. And I feel like, though, if we had set up throughout the movie a little bit more with like, we actually see the witches and see them and the devil like pulling the strings, because that's really what's happening here is, and we're going to talk about my movie Dark Roads 79 in a list I have coming up of the best movies that are about the devil himself. We're going to talk about it, like, because what's really happening here is the devil is not so much the witches, but the devil is pulling everybody's strings. He's whispering in the ear, and they make reference to that. And it's like, man, just build on that a little bit more. They make reference to that. And, that's what's really happening, is he's twisting everybody up. He's playing on their sins that they already have, because nobody is perfect. And he's twisting them up. He's preying on their weaknesses, and he's doing just enough to nudge in the right direction, right? And he's kind of like the puppeteer behind they're controlling everybody. They have their free will to do what they want, but they're being pushed in certain ways. And it's like, man, focus on that a little bit more. But it's almost, and I might be way off base here, but it's almost like he didn't want to focus on the fact that the devil was behind this, like pulling their strings and pushing them in some ways, because he didn't want to make the devil the villain. He wanted to make the Christian family the villain. And at the end, the devil is the hero almost, by giving her this amazing life now. And so like that part of it is totally not for me. I can't think about that too much when I watch it, because I just find that not cool. But that's me personally, and that's me reading a lot into it, but that's how I do movies. And it, I feel like if we had a little bit more of Black Bill, isn't that his name? I feel like if we had a little bit more of him, like pushing, and we see a little bit more of that, and we see a little bit more of the witches, not a ton, you can still keep it mysterious, but kind of set up the fact that, yeah, it's them pushing and doing. And then we will see that, okay, I think he doesn't do it, because then that makes the family more sympathetic. Because if you see more stuff going on, then you can say, oh man, like, yes, they're hard on her, and yes, they're tearing themselves apart, but it's because this is happening. This witch is doing this, the devil's doing this witch is doing this. And you would understand and sympathize with the family then. And you would pull for the family to make it, and he doesn't want that. He wants the family to be the bad guy. The Christian family to be the bad guys. That's how he sets it up. And that's like the biggest problem I have with the movie. And then it is too slow. Like, in my opinion, in a little bit, but I love the atmosphere. I think all of the slow shots, all the tension building, if you just had a little bit more payoff with the witches and with the devil, things like that, then all of that works completely for me. It works completely, and I have no criticism of it whatsoever. But when you don't have any of that and you're 2/3 through the movie and you've hardly seen a witch in a movie called The Witch, and you just hold long shots of the goat here and there or long shots of the woods, you got to give me a little something. And I think for me, that would take it from being a good movie with amazing visuals and stuff like that to way up here, and it would add to the scare factor. But like I said, there are things like that I completely don't like about the movie, because I think the overall message, I'm not digging that message that's coming across to me. But like as a horror movie, if you take that away and you just added a little bit more of witch into it and maybe a little bit more of the devil into it, it could be just, and you don't think about that message. Because if you add more witch into it and more devil into it, then it's going to take away that message, because you're going to know and see the witches and the devil doing all this stuff. So for me, if you just add a little bit more of that and focus on it, instead of trying to make the Christian family the villain for kind of being too Christian, then and failing at being good Christians, which everybody will, if you take that away and you add that other, for me, it could have been a legendary movie, but it just missed it like that for me. But it's one that I am amazing 4K. I am, I'm glad I own it. I'm going to study it. Like, this is a movie that I will like study, do film study on and stuff like that. So, because I think there's a lot of levels to that. And, it is a great way to kick off this, this series of first time 4K watch reviews, and I look forward to doing this. I have another one coming soon, my first ever David Lynch movie watching of Blue Velvet, sent to me by Tyler, another great channel member. I just finished watching it. I was gonna combine it into this one, but I'm like, no, these all deserve standalone attention to them. So I'll be getting to that one soon as well. But I mean, if I had to give this movie, like I don't like scoring movies. Like I know they do like 5 stars or whatever. I'm not really going to do that, because movies are so damn subjective. And it's totally cool no matter how you feel about it or I feel about it. The discussion is the fun part. The discussion is the fun part. Back and forth. Me and my buddies will get on the phone and talk for 2 hours back and forth about movies. And that's what I love about doing this, because I feel like I'm hanging out with you guys and talking movies with my friends. And so all discussions are valid in the comments. Like, even if I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, I'll let you know, like, from my standpoint as a filmmaker and a fan, this is why I think it, and I'll back it up with things from the movie. And, you can do the same. And if it's totally cool. Totally cool. And it's not like I hate this movie. I wish, I feel like it could been, it literally was this close to being a perfect horror movie to me. Like if you stop making the Christianity and the Christian family the villain, and you put forth the witches and the devil a little bit more, mix them in just a little bit, not a ton, not overdoing it, just a little bit more throughout the movie, so the audience knows, hey, the witches and the devil are doing all this, and you sympathize and you pull for the family even if you watch them fail, and then the end feels more earned and stuff like that to me if you do it. And I think if you had just done that, I think you'd have had a perfect horror movie. You could have had it. It was right there. Instead, I feel like there was a message that was being trying to be gotten across over here that I don't completely jive with. But hey, man, I might be reading it, and everybody might read it a different way. So let me know what you think about it in the comments. I know it's been out a while, so but this is my first 4K watch review of The Witch, and I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Jordan, at the Movie Den for sending me this movie. I am proud to own it, and if you guys have enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and it really does help out the channel. Considering joining, you can join at my Patreon down below. You can join here on YouTube, get all kinds of extras, more insight. I'm going to start doing more like just members only videos where I talk, but I also have a lot of behind the scenes stuff of my movie making, things like that, other short films that I've done that'll be on there, lots of stuff. And you don't have to do any of that, though, to hang around. Just like, subscribe, ring that bell, spread the word, become part of the pop culture friends and family. I really do appreciate you all so much. If you want to know what I'm looking for, you can also find that down in the comments. Chase's Targets are down there, and I'm going to be having some merch soon that has a little bit of fun with the whole Targets thing, so be looking for that. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye bye. I'm gonna go get me some exotic butters.